Hi, I'm Helen from Test for Less, and today I'm joined by Andrew Spooner from Socket & See. Andrew's going to talk us through safe isolation, what it means, why it's so important, and how it helps to keep both engineers and customers safe. After that, he'll be giving us a practical demonstration on a boiler. Over to you, Andrew.
Morning, Helen. So safe isolation is important. The electricity at work regulations, regulation 14, says that the main way of working on an appliance should be de-energised or dead. So it's all about following regulation and, more importantly, keeping engineers safe, protecting them from electric shock, burns and potentially fatalities. So we're going to be carrying out a safe isolation procedure on this boiler. Although we're doing it in a boiler in this video, it's pretty much the same process for any appliance or accessory that you may be working on. The first thing is to make sure that admin side is taken care of. So if you're in a domestic environment, have you asked permission from the homeowner to switch the appliance off? If you're in a commercial environment, potentially you might need a permit to work, or appropriate PPE, or any local training. This is a controlled environment, and we know that we are allowed to switch this appliance off. As you can possibly see from the LED, this appliance is energised at the moment and switched on. First thing I'm going to do before I even touch that appliance is a safe to touch test. For the safe to touch test, I'm using the Socket & See SP400 proving unit and the Socket & See VVD Pro non-contact voltage detector. Just do a quick pre-issue check on the VVD Pro. It all seems to be in good working order. The batteries work as the torch work, and then I'm going to prove the operation on the proving unit. Yeah, the VVD Pro is vibrating and the red LED shows there's a voltage present. Now I've proved the operation of the VVD Pro, I'm going to do a sweep of the chassis of the boiler to make sure there's no voltage present. So I can now assume that's safe to touch, but before I touch it, I need to prove the operation of the non-contact voltage detector again. Now I'm happy that I can touch the boiler. Now I know it's safe to touch, I will now de-energise the boiler. It's best to switch a load off before safely isolating. It just stops the chance of any arcs or sparks or pitting of the contactor. I've identified my means of safe isolation. In this case, it's going to be the fuse spur just below the boiler. Alternatively, you can use things like 13 amp plug tops, MCBs, RCDs or main switches. So now taking my screwdriver, remove the fuse from the fuse spur, and I'm going to retain this fuse until I've completed all work on the appliance. Now the fuse is being removed, it's very important to go through the lockout tag out procedure. So I'm going to fit a mechanical lock to that fuse spur, including a prohibition tag, so it makes it perfectly clear that no one should re-energise that boiler while that lock is fitted. So even if I go away to the van or move away from the boiler to do whatever, I'm confident that no one can re-energise that fuse spur. Now we've de-energised the boiler and fitted the lockout tag out device, we can remove the boiler chassis, but as I haven't proved that it's safely isolated, I'm going to be treating this boiler as live at all times through the process. So that's the chassis removed, and I've exposed the terminals ready for the safe isolation process. For the safe isolation process, I'm going to be using the Socket & See VIP150 2-pole voltage indicator and the Socket & See SP400 proving unit. So before I use these, I'm going to do a pre-use check on them, checking that the tips are GS38 compliant, which means there's less than 4mm of metal exposed, checking the condition of the case, which looks good, and then checking the interconnecting cable. These are dual insulated, so the black outer insulation and then there's a white inner insulation. So if I see any white through this black outer insulation, I know it's time to replace the voltage indicator. Before I carry out the process, I'm going to prove the voltage indicator on the proving unit, checking it throughout the entire range up to 400 volts, and I'm happy that's good to use. Now I've proved the operation of the VIP 150 voltage indicator, I'm going to do my 3 checks for a single phase appliance. For a 3-phase appliance it would be a total of 10 checks. So I'm connecting to earth to live, there's no indication there, then I'll remove from live, remove from earth, then neutral to live, remove from live, remove from neutral, then earth to neutral, and we've got no indication at any of those points. And at this point I can assume that it's safely isolated, but then finally I must prove the operation of the 2-pole tester throughout its entire range, and that is the safe isolation procedure complete.